Okay. A very good afternoon to everyone. Uh, it is my hope that I find you well, and I do appreciate that uh, assignments are being done and all is progressing well. Now, in our last lecture, we introduced what psychology means, what is meant by introduction to psychology, what is meant by introduction to psychology. We also highlighted the nexus or the relationship between um, psychology and other science subjects in the sense that it relates with other science subjects in aspects of problem identification, use the same mechanisms and the same modus operandi in terms of problem identification. Also, it relates with other science subjects in the way data collection is done, and its scope of data collection, like the family, the size, age, and gender. Also, it is quite related to other sciences with reference to instruments used for data collection, that is the use of interviews, questionnaires, and case studies, and as well how the data is organized, how data is presented and reported. Yes, and last but not least, it relates with other sciences based on conclusions arrived, putting into practice. Now, for today's lesson, as a student, you need to ask yourselves the following question. That is to say, what is the role of psychology in our future career? What is the role of psychology in our future career? Students must be able to conceptualize such things. Now, today we are going to focus, like I highlighted in our last lecture, that we are going to focus into the different and various branches of psychology. Now, I deliberately picked biology as one of the other sciences, just psychology is. To say, in biology, the subfields are zoology, botany, anatomy, etc. And then, what then do you think are the subfields of psychology, as it is a science, just like biology? Now, not limited to the following, psychology has the following branches. And these branches are educational psychology, developmental psychology, social psychology, behavioral psychology, clinical psychology, health psychology. Not that these are the only branches of psychology. So having said this, students are then challenged or encouraged to search for more branches of psychology, since branches of psychology are not limited to those that are highlighted above, and other branches of psychology includes the industrial psychology and others. Now, to explain more about these different and various branches of psychology, we are going to start with educational educational psychology is one of the various branches of psychology. Now, educational psychology entails or is all about the ways and the methods employed or used in educating people. That is, the various techniques used to educate a certain target of people. How to make people understand the concepts for individual, organizational, and national development. We need to employ some psychological techniques so that our target groups or target individuals or our target class understand the concepts or the teachings that are intended to be understood. Now, we go on to the developmental psychology. The developmental psychology deals with aspects of human development over the entire span of life. That is to say, by span of life, we refer to the stages from existence, the stages from conception to death. So those aspects that has to do with human development are physical, mental, and social aspects. These are the developmental aspects of psychology. People encounter different scenarios, different situations in their stages of development. And as a human being, or as human beings within our different societies and our different backgrounds, we develop in terms of our physical well-being, our physical makeup, development part of our bodies, the growing aspect of it, from being young to the stage of being old. We also develop mentally, you know, our mental capacities differ as we grow, as we grow up, as we grow up with age. Also, our social interactive aspects also differ as we develop, as we grow up. So that's how the developmental psychology comes in to address our physical, mental, and social aspects of a human development. We now have the third branch of psychology, the name of the social psychology. And the social psychology studies the people's thoughts, feelings, and actions, and how these thoughts, feelings, and actions are affected by others in a given society. Areas like aggressive behaviors, conflict in communities, this is how people relate in a respective community, or how people relate in their respective communities as the social behavior, what it entails, the social aspect of our living in our different societies, in our different communities at a family level, societal level, or community level, and at national level as a Zimbabwean society. Now, having talked about the social psychology, we go on to another branch of psychology, which is the behavioral psychology. The behavioral psychology. This then is centered on how does the environment contribute to human behavior. And as a class, can we safely say that the environment truly does have a contribution to one's behavior? If so, how, in what sense does the environment contribute to one's behavior? So behavioral psychology is about ways of learning new knowledge and skills in a given environment. Does the environment shape or contribute to one's behavior? Does living in Bari has a bearing in one's behavior? Does living in Borodale has a bearing in one's behavior? If it truly has, in what sense will justify? It's all about the environment shaping someone's behavior. To say, you take someone from Borodale, he lives in Bari, and then he now becomes a Bari person. Does that alone has a contribution to his behavior? True, and it's very true that the environment does have a contribution to one's behavior. One will be forced to conform to the norms and values of a certain environment, in a certain society, a certain community. Otherwise, if you are from another place and you are brought to another place and you don't conform to that place you are brought to, you will be regarded as an outcast. Why being regarded as an outcast? Because you are not in conformity with what is expected of that community. That is to say, if you are in Rome, do as what the Romans do. Otherwise, you are an outcast. Now, further to this, we do have the clinical psychology. The clinical psychology is all about the psychological disorders and their treatment. Psychological disorders and their treatment. It revolves around how to change the environment to prevent the prevalence of psychological disorders. For example, sensitizing people about the bad effects of alcohol, drugs on health productivity. That's clinical psychology. That is more of a preventive in nature for destructive effects of some certain behaviors or some certain aspects of life, like alcoholism and drug abuse. Last but not least, as one of the branches of psychology is healthy psychology. Healthy psychology. Health psychology emphasizes on the preventive aspect of health other than the curative aspect. The following statement then goes on to say, health is not merely the absence of illness, but is the state of physical, mental, and social well-being. Health is not merely the absence of illness, but is the state of physical, mental, and social well-being. So, in a nutshell, these are the branches of psychology. But, like I said earlier on, these branches of psychology we have just talked about are not limited. They are, the list there are quite plenty of them. So students are encouraged to search more of these branches of psychology, because branches of psychology are not only limited to these which we have just talked about. There are quite plenty of them. So students to acquaint with themselves more information and knowledge about psychology, they are challenged and encouraged to search for more of these branches of psychology. Now, like I highlighted earlier on, students need to understand comprehensively the use, the relevance of psychology as loss control officers, as security officers, as risk officers. We all need to understand the role of the relevance of psychology in our workplaces. How does psychology help us in executing our duties as loss control officers, as security officers, as risk officers? We need to have a maximum appreciation of the role that is played by psychology in a total execution of our duties. That will be good enough for us to complete to execute our duties in a satisfactory manner. So for today, we will end here. When we meet next time, we are going to introduce another topic of human development, psychological development of humans. So for today, we end here, and please, let's take our assignments seriously, and let's try to try to have a deeper understanding of what actually is expected of us in answering those assignments. I realized one thing. I did not highlight this to you in the first place. When answering our assignments, you first need to identify the key phrases or the key words that build or that construct the question, and try to identify and try to define those keywords or key phrases. That alone will actually show the examiner that you know what you are going to talk about, you know what you are doing. So that is a very important aspect, very important technique in answering our assignments. First, define key concepts, keywords, key phrases that constitutes the question, so that you can be able to convince the marker that you know what you are going to talk about, you know what you are writing about. Okay, so for today, I sign out. Good day.